Of Cronkite Sports Live, Arizona State Baseball showing no signs of slowing down. We have all the action from last night's nail-biter against Washington State.
Plus, ASU softball is coming off a series upset over the 8th-ranked Washington Huskies. We'll check in with them as they prepare for Utah.
Finally, there's a lot of new names to keep track of with ASU football, but we have you covered with who to look out for. All this and so much more on Cronkite Sports Live. It's a Friday tradition unlike any other. Welcome inside Studio 6 for today's edition of Cronkite Sports Live. Everyone, he's Ethan Tuttle. I'm Kevin Melater, and Ethan's spring has officially sprung.
Kevin, birds are chirping, and we've got baseball, so I'm just chipper. Let's go ahead and get right into the highlights as Arizona State baseball taking on Washington State last night as they get ready to take the field, and here we are. It's Luke Hill with a 3-run home run that drives in Jacob Tobias and Luke Keichel to tie it up at 3 runs apiece. That was in the second inning. Hill's been such a help for the Sun Devils this season. As just a true freshman, he managed to go 3 for 4. That's the 4th time this season he's reached the 3-hit mark. But how about Sam Brown? He's got to make some noise of his own with a solo shot over the right field wall to put the Cougars ahead by 2. Score 5-3. Flash ahead to the bottom of the 9th. Jacob Tobias, hello and goodbye. It's over the right field fence for a 418-foot bomb. That cuts Wazoo's lead to 1, 5-4 Washington State. But Arizona State's not done yet as Isaiah Jackson hits a sac fly to right field that will bring in Luke Hill to tie the game at 5. And Luke Hill has really been saving the day for the Sun Devils. And this one you couldn't tell already. I mean, he's already been on the base paths. He's done the work at the plate as well with that 3-run bomb, as I mentioned earlier. But it was all on Kian Vu at the end as he walked it off with a single that brought around Wyatt Crenshaw for the 6-5 win out at Phoenix Muni, and the Sun Devils able to walk it off again and improve to 21-9 overall, 8-2 in conference play. And here's what the skipper, Willie Bloomquist, had to say following the walk-off.
Washington State's got a really good bullpen, so for us to hang in there and beat them late like that is a huge character builder for us, confidence builder. Just a ton of 5 or 6 straight really good at bats.
Arizona State baseball has gotten used to having freshmen that make an impact the second they step on campus. Last night being a perfect example with Kian Vu playing the hero. But a first year who stood out even more has been New Contradas. The Hawaiian has touched them all already 6 times this season and has driven in 29 runs, all while batting for an average of .375. For more on how he's found success at the plate this season, here's Aiden Blank.
Freshman New Contradas has been on a tear to start his first season at ASU. Contradas has hit .552 with 17 RBI in conference play, which tops the league. And a lot of people are asking, why do people keep throwing fastballs to New Contradas? To start off the year, Contradas struggled to find consistency, hitting just .176 through the first 13 games of the season. But the UC Davis series is where things would turn around. 2 hits on Friday and another on Saturday would set up a massive Sunday performance. 2-0 count, Contradas is hunting fastball, and the catcher puts out and away, hoping to go up the ladder, but bad miss is going to give New his first long ball of the young season.
Contradas deep to left center field, no doubt about it. The Sun Devils, double digits.
2 nights later, the Devs trail to Utah Tech. Behind on the count 1-2, the lefty goes straight at Contradas. The catcher sets up for a fastball low and away, but it misses right over the heart of the plate. New puts the barrel on it, puts it out to the deepest part of the park, and we're squared away at 1 apiece.
Home run.
Fast forward a week later, and it's a prime-time tilt with U of A. 2 on in a tie ball game. Casey Hintz on the mound. Fast change and slider mix. Tommy Splain wants it at the knees. It's not where he's going to get it. Fastball bell tie. And it's a moonshot onto Mill Ave. He called it the biggest home run of his life, and it certainly lived up to the name. ASU swept Arizona for the first time since 2019. Well, turns out he can do it in minor league parks, too. Fastball bell tie, too easy for the Pac-12 Player of the Week. He puts it off the scoreboard in left center and extends the ASU lead late in the game. In the last month, Contrades has destroyed his favorite pitch, and the rest of the team has followed suit. With 38 extra base hits in conference play, the Devils match for second in the Pac-12, and to those fastballs, Contrades has been saying,
I am not taking your fastball down the middle.
From Phoenix Muni, I'm Aiden Blank, Cronkite Sports.
Thanks, Aiden. The Sun Devils will see if New can keep up the hot bat as they finish the series today and tomorrow. And to give us a better look at tonight's game, we now check in with Anthony Remedios, who's live from Phoenix Municipal Stadium. Anthony, ASU's been on a tear as of late. What can we expect to see from them tonight?
Thanks, Ethan. Big walk-off win for the Sun Devils last night, as you just saw a couple minutes ago. Their third walk-off of the season, and freshman Kean Vu's first of his collegiate career. Big opportunity tonight, a chance for them to secure another Pac-12 series, something they've done every weekend so far in conference play. They've won 15 of their last 18 overall, and currently sit tied with Stanford at the top of the Pac-12 at 8-3, leading the conference with 21 wins.
And what about the pitching matchup tonight, Anthony? What do we know about the projected starters? There's been a lot of talk around that whole situation, so what do you have for us there?
Well, it's something a little different for ASU's pitching staff this weekend. Tonight in Game 2, it'll be Ross Dunn in his usual Friday start. ASU is 6-1 in Friday night games this season, where Dunn has earned a 4-1 record and a team leading 40 strikeouts over 30 1/3 innings pitched. His .297 ERA currently ranks 4th in the Pac-12. As for the Cougars, it'll be Caden Kilber's 7th start of the season. He's thrown at least 6 innings in 4 of those starts and has a total ERA of 4 through 36 innings. Good top 10 in the conference. His 43 strikeouts ties him for 7th.
So with that in mind, what do the Sun Devils need to do tonight out at Phoenix Muni to capture the series?
Keep the bats hot. Luke Keyshaw has been on a tear his last 17 games, hitting .417 with the team leading 16 extra base hits, 5 of which were home runs. First baseman Jacob Tobias and catcher Ryan Campos extended their on-base streaks to 29 and 28 respectively last night. Furthermore, Campos also has 22 consecutive at-bats without a strikeout and is tied in the conference for the fewest. So the key tonight is really going to be to get the bats hot, keep the bats winning, put some runs on the board early, and to give your bullpen that confidence for those later innings.
Thank you so much for joining us, Anthony. First pitch is tonight at 6:30 on ASU Livestream 1. And for premier coverage, tap into CronkiteSports.com.
There's a lot of excitement at Phoenix Municipal Stadium, and for good reason. This week has seen Willie Bloomquist's side record wins number 20 and 21 respectively, becoming the first team in the Pac-12 to reach that feat this season. On the offensive side of things, the team is batting for an average of .317, which leads the Pac-12. They've scored the third most runs in the conference at 219, and despite what the team ERA looks like, the staff has continued to improve throughout the course of the season. All of this has equated to Arizona State flirting with an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament in the latest bracketologies. So while all this is a good sign for Arizona State, I want you to keep a couple of things in mind as we hit the final month for the regular season. Entering Friday, Arizona State is 8-2 in conference play. Pretty good, right? Get this though, the 4 Pac-12 sides they've played represent the bottom 4 teams in the conference. Arizona State has still yet to play Stanford, USC, or Oregon, which are the 3 teams that surround the Sun Devils in the latest standings. Not to mention, Thursday night saw Arizona State announce the end of Ethan Long's season after undergoing surgery on his left wrist last week. Additionally, sophomore transfer Nick McClain seems unlikely to play this season after suffering a wrist injury of his own. 2 big losses to Willie Bloomquist's offense. This is an Arizona State team that's been longing to get back on the road to Omaha after a 1-year hiatus from the tournament. That's why Willie Bloomquist was brought in, right? To get this program back to the levels of success when he donned the maroon and gold himself. They're in a great spot right now, but there's still so much baseball left to be played in which a lot can go wrong. So it's time to see what this team is made of. It's gut check time for Willie Bloomquist and company. And that's the way it is.
We're going to go to softball now. Coming off an upset against the number 9 Washington Huskies, and with a dominant 14-5 record at home, it's safe to say ASU softball is currently on a roll. Pitching always key no matter the opponent, and ASU has Utah upcoming, so let's go ahead and send it to Justin Lacertosa for a breakdown in the circle.
The Arizona State Sun Devils prevailed over the number 13 ranked Washington Huskies last weekend, stealing the series at Club Farrington 2-1. For a Sun Devil team that has struggled to get runs on the board throughout Pac-12 play, the pitching core was heavily relied upon to carry a bulk of the initiative if the Devils hoped to hang in throughout the course of the series. Not only did the pitching rotation meet expectations, they shattered them, as the group consisting of Mackenzie Osborne, Kenzie Brown, Marissa Schold, and Kylie McGee all played impressively at the mound throughout the weekend. The Sun Devils were held to just 4 hits in the second game of the series, but responded by holding the Huskies to just 2, while the same trend was held constant in the Game 3 rubber match, where a rotation of Osborne, Brown, and Schold held Washington to 4 hits, with their top 5 batters in the starting lineup going hitless with 16 at-bats. One of the strongest parts of the Sun Devils' stellar pitching is their ability to navigate their way out of jams. In Saturday's outing against Washington, Arizona State found themselves in a pickle, giving up their first 2 hits of the evening in the top of the 4th inning, with freshman Kylie McGee in the circle, but coach Megan Bartlett made an on-the-fly adjustment, sending sophomore Kenzie Brown into the game in a bases-loaded situation, where the Illinois native managed to pull the Sun Devils out of a potential game-altering situation. A day later, in the series-deciding 3rd game, the Huskies loaded the bases in the top of the 6th, with the Devils up 5-2. This time, it was the 5th-year Marissa Schold who got ASU out of the jam, where she then closed out the game in the top of the 7th, sending 3 batters packing after giving up a leadoff single to start. Time and time again, this series demonstrated that the bread and butter for Sun Devil softball comes at the mound. For a group that consistently struggles against top-notch pitching themselves, having a reliable pitching core that could steer the wheel of the team on any given night is a must, especially during conference play in the Pac-12 that is stacked to the brim with competitors as we speak. The Sun Devils will hope for sustained success against top-level competition throughout the remainder of Pac-12 play, thanks to their pitching core. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks for the breakdown, Justin. In the Pac-12, you need a pitching core that can support you, because in every game in conference, it's going to be a battle. I mean, year after year, the Pac-12 turns out some of the best players, and this year, it doesn't look like it's going to be any different. For more on the dominance in the Pac-12 in softball, here's Max Cepeda with this week's Impact.
Thanks, Ethan. Last year's Women's College World Series was the 40th time the event had taken place, and since its inception back in 1982, 25 of them have ended with a Pac-12 team taking home the national title, a reiterating of the nickname, the Conference of Champions. But while the 9 Pac-12 programs have seen immense success throughout the sport's collegiate history, since 2010, only 2 national championships have gone through the conference, that being UCLA in 2019, and yes, the Sun Devils in 2011. This year, however, the Conference of Champions remains on par with its usual standard of dominance in the sport, as 7 programs, not including ASU, are currently in D1Softball.com's top 25 rankings, from the 21-ranked Wildcats' offensive firepower at Arizona to the prowess of the California pitching powerhouses at number 3 UCLA and number 7 Stanford. The Pac-12 remains a dominant force in the softball scene. However, Arizona State's most recent series win against then number 9 Washington proved that the Sun Devils, while being just one of 2 unranked schools in the conference, show that they can compete with the Pac's elite as they look to prove their worthiness yet again, starting tonight in Salt Lake City when they take on number 22 Utah. Another series victory could put the Devils on numerous rankings and watch lists, but a significant loss could put into question whether last week was a fluke of sorts. In the end, ASU softball's in the thick of the pack, and the question is now, how will they get through it? Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you so much, Max. We've hit the home stretch of practices this spring for ASU football, and while energy, passion, and of course the phrase activating the Valley has been on display, many are still wondering who could be under center for the Sun Devils come August 31st when they take on Southern Utah. So yesterday I decided to go to Tempe and hit the gridiron with WCSN football reporter Henry Downey to get some updates on the quarterback battle. Alrighty, Henry Downey, thanks for bringing us out to the practice fields today to talk some ASU football with us. And it's only fitting, we got a couple of practices left in the spring. Let's talk quarterbacks, and we'll talk the new man on campus, Jaden Rashada, the incoming freshman. What have you seen from him for these first couple of weeks of spring ball?
Yeah, the California native, he's a really explosive quarterback. He has great arm talent. Today he went 10 for 16 in the 7-on-7 drills, deep bombs he was throwing. He has that raw ability that Kenny Dillingham might be looking for to just fit into his offense. He's got the ability. Now, Kenny Dillingham said that he wants a quarterback who can think the right way and not make any poor decisions. And so we'll see if Rashada has that ability that Kenny Dillingham's looking for.
And when you're talking about inexperience at the collegiate level, let's go to a guy who's very experienced and played at a blue blood last year, the Notre Dame transfer, Drew Pine. What have you seen in his adjustment levels, and how has he been able to adjust to a new system, new offense coming from South Bend to Tempe?
I think he's adjusted pretty well, honestly. He's somebody who started 10 games, like you said, Division I level, big-time school, and he's somebody who's just been, he hasn't been surprising when he's been throwing nice little checkdowns, keeping the ball in the hands of the offense, and that's what Kenny Dillingham's really looking for. Somebody who knows how to just keep the ball with them, get that certain amount of snaps that they're looking for on offense during a game. And so Drew Pine has the ability to keep the ball, and Kenny Dillingham really likes that. So that's what's going to set him apart in this quarterback battle.
Now, the job isn't his, and he's not the favorite because there has really been no favorite in this spring ball. But it's only fitting that we close with the man who started the final few games of last season in Trenton Bourget. He's, in a sense, kind of quote-unquote protecting his role. How have you seen now that he's got now a full season of football under his belt as well as now spring ball as well?
So Bourget is the Arizona native. He knows the most about Arizona State football in the quarterback room. He's somebody who, like you said, started 5 games at the end of the season, and he was kind of a shock to the system. He brought a lot of explosiveness, especially inside the pocket, that Arizona State lacked last year. And so Bourget is the most experienced with Arizona State football, if that makes sense. He's the one who's played with Jalen Conyers and Andre Johnson Jr. and all these other position players that are still here. So Bourget really has the experience with Arizona State, and he's the one who's looking to see if he can't separate himself with knowing where his receivers are going to be, how they think and what they do. And so Trenton Bourget, that's how he gets ahead in this quarterback battle.
All right, Henry, thank you for having us out today. It's going to be fun to see as we enter the final week of spring ball and the spring showcase being next week. For more on football, I'll send it back to the studio.
A new season, new players, and a whole lot of speed and explosiveness out at ASU spring practices so far. Luckily, Blake Neiman has us covered on all fronts with an update on some of the standout newcomers for the Sun Devils. Blake?
Class is almost out of session, but football is just heating up, and many players are getting their first taste of Tempe this spring. The Sun Devils have a talented roster equipped with an artillery of veterans, transfers, and freshmen. As the fight for spots on the depth chart starts to unfold, let's check out the Sun Devils' new arrivals that have made a good first impression. We'll start with the man who's been the talk of the town, Jaden Rashada. After an NIL deal reportedly worth over $13 million fell through at Florida, the 4-star quarterback followed in his father's footsteps by signing with his alma mater, Arizona State. Since taking the field in the Valley of the Sun, Rashada has slowly gotten adjusted to Dillingham's high-paced practices. Despite the rapid changes in his life over the past few months, Rashada is finally settling in amongst the rest of the contenders for the ultra-coveted QB1 spot. But the quarterbacks might not even be the most competitive position in the backfield. ASU's running back room is also loaded with talent, headlined by Cal transfer DeCarlos Brooks and Sacramento State transfer Cameron Scatterboot. The two backs have shown out in each of the Sun Devil scrimmages and team time, especially when it comes to catching balls out of the backfield. Both running backs take great pride in their ability to be both effective rushers and pass catchers, which has rubbed off on sophomore prospect Javen Jacobs, who has been making some noise of his own in the backfield after transitioning from wide receiver a couple of weeks ago. Jacobs' versatility and natural athleticism will be advantageous to Dillingham and his staff, who can incorporate him in empty sets and create mismatches against linebackers on passes out of the backfield. When in doubt, the Sun Devils are going to find a way to get these backs the football often. Moving away from the backfield and out near the sidelines, the Sun Devils have a large pool of highly talented receivers to choose from. Idaho State transfer Xavier Guillory and Texas transfer Troy O'Meary have been making their presence known in their short time at ASU, catching eyeballs throughout practice by showcasing their ability to make plays down the field. O'Meary especially got some extra attention in the Sun Devils' latest spring scrimmage, where he made a handful of impressive long ball catches. Guillory, on the other hand, has been a notable name since the first day he laced up the cleats for the maroon and gold, putting his speed and route running on full display in one-on-one matchups. The length and physicality of O'Meary, complemented by Guillory's speed and route running, will make these new targets an elite threat in the Sun Devils' passing game. With the spring game just a little over a week away, make sure to be on the lookout for these new faces as they try to make their names known in Tempe and beyond.
Alrighty, so that was Blake Neiman with all you need to know about the Sun Devil newcomers on the gridiron, but quite the opposite is happening on the hardwood right now, Ethan, for Arizona State basketball.
Yeah, the season has been over for a few weeks now, but it feels like every day we're hearing about a Sun Devil basketball draft declaration or a transfer portal entry. Bottom line, though, Kevin, next year's starting five is probably going to look a lot different.
You're totally right. So let's take a look here. Frankie Collins, Desmond Cambridge Jr., and Warren Washington have all declared for the draft. Collins and Washington do have the option to return to Tempe, but cannot enter the transfer portal due to eligibility rules.
Right, and Devin Cambridge entered his name into the portal yesterday. He joins Enoch Boache, Austin Nunez, DJ Horn in the transfer portal. And Devin Cambridge, Kevin, I was kind of surprised about all that. He said he was going to stay in Tempe, and then 2 weeks later, he announces he's going to be in the transfer portal. Kind of interesting stuff happening there.
It's really interesting. And now you really look at the second consecutive offseason that a notable Arizona State athlete, remember last year, Jaden Daniels, the former Arizona State quarterback, now if LSU did the same thing, and now Devin Cambridge. But an even bigger surprise to a lot of people is DJ Horn, considering he was such a crucial part of that starting five a season ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's just been so terrific. A shot creator is what Bobby Hurley calls him. And he's going to be a big loss for ASU. You can see some of the statistics right there on the screen. But yeah, overall, just going to be a big loss at the point guard position for Arizona State. Someone's going to have to fill that hole.
Yeah, exactly. The search for a new number one is up to Bobby Hurley. And, well, another Arizona State player who ended up having to etch his name in Sun Devil history with that U of A buzzer beater, which has been on our social media feeds pretty much ever since he made the shot down in Tucson. He now enters the NBA draft, and our Devin Henderson is in studio to compare Cambridge Jr. to some other NBA players. Devin, what do you got for us?
Thanks, Gavin. Fifth-year senior Desmond Cambridge Jr. was the Sun Devils' leading scorer this past season, dazzling the fans in Tempe with his high-energy play, fearlessness on the court, and his signature behind half-court long-range buzzer beaters he hit not once but twice during the season. Now he's entered his name into the upcoming 2023 NBA draft, and while he may not jump off the top of any draft boards, he is an interesting prospect that some NBA teams may look at if they need a spark plug that can get hot quick and hit tough shots. There's not a shot on the court Des sees that he doesn't like, whether he's guarded or not. In fact, sometimes it seems as if he's more comfortable shooting under pressure than without. He has the dead-eye shooting badge for all my 2K fans out there. He's much like longtime veteran and former NBA champion J.R. Smith, who is my pro comparison for Cambridge. The former Sixth Man of the Year was a legendary shot maker who had a knack for getting tough buckets. There wasn't any amount of defense or any spot on the floor that lessened Smith's confidence that his shots would fall, and he made a career for himself out of it. Another comparison would be Swaggy P, Nick Young, another longtime NBA veteran and former NBA champion. Young was also unafraid to let his shots fly at any moment, and more often than not, they would go in. And just like Smith, it would only take one shot to get him hot. Similar to these two, Cambridge Jr. may not be picked top 10 on any mock drafts, and who knows when or if his name will get called on Brooklyn on June 23rd. But one thing is for sure is he's ready to bring his fearless shot making to any team that wants him. Guys, back to you.
I mentioned at the start of the broadcast, you can hear the birds chirping. This spring weather's been terrific, and out at Augusta, you can hear them even louder on that broadcast. Ben Paris is in studio, and he's going to detail some of the more Sun Devils that are out at Augusta playing this weekend. Ben, what do you got?
Even golf is such an interesting sport because there are no home games or away games, and for Arizona State this season, there has been a massive difference in scoring when they play tournaments in Arizona as opposed to outside the Grand Canyon State. Let's take senior Riggs Johnston, for example, who shot 7 under in the second round of the NCAA tournament last year. Johnston shot a combined 25 over par in events away from Arizona this year, while he has shot 12 under in rounds in Arizona, giving him a 37-shot differential, the highest on the team. How about Michael Miesith? Well, it's a similar story. 15 over away from Arizona, but 17 under in Arizona, tying him for the lowest cumulative score on the team in this state, but still adding up to a 32-shot differential. And even Preston Summerhays, a top 15 player in the country, seems like a different player in the state than he is outside. 7 over outside the state, not too shabby, but his 17 under par play inside the state is why his 24-shot differential is so high. So what does all this mean? Well, it appears that a home state advantage might actually exist in Arizona. The team has a combined 72 under par in the state, but 97 over outside of it. Every single player on the team has a cumulative under par score at home, but they're all over par on the road. And with the Thunderbird Collegiate coming up next week and the national championships in just over a month, this Arizona advantage is good news for the Sun Devils, who will take any edge they can get down the stretch.
mark, the 50th playing of the Thunderbird Collegiate. What should we expect from the Sun Devils at their signature event? It's practically in their backyard, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Thunderbird Collegiate is one of the more competitive events in college golf, and this year it's going to be no different. Schools like number 2 North Carolina, number 3 Texas Tech, and the defending national champions Texas will all be in the field next week. And the home course and home state advantage has been quite obvious at this event for ASU over the years because they've won the tournament 20 times, and ASU individuals hold each of the top 5 lowest scores in the tournament's history. Guys like John Rahm, Phil Mickelson, and Colin Morikawa, who are all major champions, have won at this event, and it's a huge reason why it's a staple in the college golf schedule every single year.
Ben, we got news earlier this week that the winner of the national championship in Scottsdale next month will receive an invite to next year's Masters. Young guy right now, an amateur, Sam Bennett, holding his own. He's in the top 5. He's clearly not scared of the moment, but how are some of the other Sun Devil alumni performing in Augusta right now?
Well, Ethan, it's our favorite week of the year for a reason. It's Masters Week, and ASU alum John Rahm played really well yesterday as he tries to win his second major. After double bogeying his first hole with a 4-putt, he went on to play the rest of the course at 9 under par, giving him a share of the lead. Now, right now, he finds himself 3 shots back of the leader, Brooks Koepka, while fellow Sun Devil Phil Mickelson of the Live Golf Tour is at 4 under par after completing his second round. Some weather is rolling into the area right now, so play currently suspended, but we'll see if Rahm can capture a green jacket this weekend.
Well, thank you so much, Ben. The weather here in the Valley continues to heat up, and so does ASU's women's lacrosse. There have been some hefty stat lines, some impressive stat lines in the past few weeks, and to highlight some of the standouts as of late, we send it to Justin DeHaas.
Arizona State graduate midfielder Kaylin Buckner has more goals than any of her teammates have points for the Sun Devils this season. Buckner earned Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week after her performances against Oregon and Colorado. The graduate student tied a career high in goals against Oregon with 4, and she topped that career high in her next game against Colorado with 6. Buckner struggled against Stanford by not scoring a point, which has happened for the first time this season. But she bounced back against Cal, scoring 2 points, which she has done in 7 of her 10 games so far. Sophomore goalkeeper Katie Valley has had more saves than goals allowed in 2 of the last 4 games. Those 2 games were against Oregon and Cal, both of which the Sun Devils were able to come out victorious. The Sun Devils went 1-1 in their Northern California trip last weekend, and they play the Bay Area schools again at home this weekend. If ASU is successful against Stanford and Cal, don't be surprised to see Buckner and Valley leading the charge for the Sun Devils. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Justin DeHaas.
Top plays and coming in at number 3, it's Isaiah Jackson in the box. Number 24 puts a swing on it, and he lets this one go deep over the right field wall. You can see they're up 9-5. This would make it 11-5 late in the game as Isaiah Jackson, he's been known to be a consistent player in the field. He's starting to kind of shine out with the bat right there. You can see it, Kevin.
Yeah, that was a really sweet swing there by Isaiah Jackson. But you want to know an even sweeter swing for Arizona State? How about Kian Vu's last night in the bottom of the 9th inning? 3-2 pitch. He bloops it into center field, which allowed the winning run to come across and touch home. Arizona State picks up win number 21, Kian Vu, the walk-off hero.
Arizona State baseball doing a lot of celebrating. Arizona State softball wanted to get on the celebration as well. Here's Savannah Price at the plate, and she uncorks a deep drive to left field. It's over the wall, and it's a grand slam for Arizona State as Washington, number 8 in the country, could not handle the Sun Devils at Club Farrington. Gavin, they've been so solid there so far this season. They've been one of the best teams, one of my favorite teams to watch so far.
No, and they got the club rocking, which is what you would love to see if you're an Arizona State softball fan. So that's going to wrap it up for us here in Studio 6. We thank you so much for watching. For all the great people behind the scenes, for Ethan Tuttle, I'm Captain Later. We'll see you next week on another edition of Cronkite Sports Live.